Hello everyone, I'm Sisanda Ntshinga and welcome to On the Couch. So today I'll be chatting to Durban-based social entrepreneur Tracy Ruggier, who is the founder of It's Not Made in China, which is a water bottle company that not only gives illustrators the opportunity to showcase their work, but they also recycle those very same bottles and turn them into t-shirts and bags. Talk about innovative. Tracy, how are you doing today?
Very good. Look, things are tough, for everybody. But I must say, when we started this whole concept, I did start off thinking to myself, how could I create something that would survive times like these? And not knowing at all what was going to happen, I thought if it's a product that people want, that not everybody has, it could survive these times, these kind of situations, not realizing what we're going to be in for. So we're very lucky because we have still had orders, and in fact, we've got lots of overseas orders. So we are very excited about that prospect of bringing money back into the country and helping the economy. And I think the illustrators are very, very excited. So it's been a very positive thing, and that thought pattern that I had originally has actually paid off today.
Okay, before I get into your thought pattern and how you have kind of prepared for this prior to even knowing that it would happen, for those that don't know about what It's Not Made in China is about, can you give them in your own words a brief description of what your business is and what it is that they do? Because as much as I've given a bit of an intro, I always feel like I need to give the person who actually runs the business the opportunity to tell us a little bit about the work that they do.
Sure. So what we actually do is, in essence, on a whole, we try to create something that would benefit more than ourselves. And how we did that was we looked at the economic environment that we're in, and I looked at artists, since I had a background with artists. And I thought to myself, if you are a young up-and-coming artist and you're trying to submit work to galleries, often the galleries are nervous because they don't know if they're going to get a return on a new artist. So they generally utilize artists that make them money, which you can also understand. So I decided, how could we create a product that helps artists, helps small business, and that is environmentally friendly? And that's what this product encompasses. It's a product that gives an artist a platform to advertise and market themselves. It also is a unique product that helps. We don't supply chain stores. We supply maybe one or two spas, but we are mostly helping coffee shops, small businesses. And then we give the bottle to small water plants who are not very busy, so we can keep them going as well. And then we do the recycling. So this year we've actually we've now made our bottle 100% from recycled bottle, which is fantastic. So it's really a big bonus. And we've been in touch with an international company who supplies water coolers to corporates. And instead of using paper cups, they've identified our bottle as a win-win. So our bottle goes inside the water cooler, and people who go to the water cooler get their own personal bottle that they can reuse and refill themselves instead of the trees that are being cut and paper cups. So
That's so incredible. That's so exciting. I'm just like, I want to work for one of those companies. Like I want my own It's Not Made in China bottle. That like just that in itself can make somebody feel really special. Just the thought of going to the water cooler and getting your own, because it also, I think the wonderful thing and the unique thing about your bottle is that your bottles is that when you get each bottle, they're all very unique, so you automatically feel as though it's made or handmade for you specifically, right?
Yes.
So I want to know, how did you get into the water bottle industry? Like, how did you find yourself in that space? How did you get into entrepreneurship?
So I was very fortunate, fortunate and not fortunate, but I grew up in a household where we didn't have a very well-off background. We struggled a lot. And the one thing my mother did teach the three of us, because I have two other siblings, is to be entrepreneurs. And she said, if you want something, you can go and get it. And I mean, I'm not in the same boat, but I do see myself as a lot of South Africans who have nothing to lose. And I think I mentioned that in the article last time we spoke, but I really mean it. As South Africans, we start off with nothing. And so it's a very big bonus point. You don't realize it. But if you have nothing, you've got nothing to lose. So when you start that way, you can only just go forward. So if you say to yourself, I want that, and I want to be different, and I'm going to go and get it, and you empower yourself to give yourself that confidence, you can actually do it. And we've got to believe more in ourselves as a culture, as a nation, because we are one step ahead of other countries who are spoiled. They are helped by the governments, they have all these things. We actually lucky because we naturally create entrepreneurs in this country. So it's a very positive thing. And for me, how it started was I had nothing. I had nothing to lose, and I could only gain. So in my head, I thought, well, I can't go to the bank. I can't get a bank loan. How am I going to do this? What can I do without financial backing? And so what happened is I was also helping other entrepreneurs. I was actually managing a guy called Rion Mansa. I don't know if you know him, the guy that cycled around Africa on his bicycle. I managed him for a little bit. That was a lot of hard work. But it's a human being that you're dealing with. And I thought to myself, I'd rather manage a product than a human being. Because, human beings get sick, they get moody, then happy, then they're not happy. So this was for me much easier to do. And so I sat down, and I think everybody should do this. Anybody who's got the spirit in them should sit down and say to themselves, what can I do that's different? Not copy everybody. What can I do that's different that I think can either help me and help other people around me make money? Because if you think about it, we're living in these crazy times, but we're living in times with millennials who are compassionate, who care, who want to make a difference. And if that's the case, then that's how we should all be thinking. We shouldn't be going, let's just be this big capitalist. We should be saying, how can I make money, but how can I help others make money along the way? And you think like that and you think it sounds so crazy, but do you know how much more you enjoy your product when you know that you're doing all of those things? And then, of course, there's this whole thing, and it's not necessarily a hippie thing, but when you put positivity out, you get positivity back. So it's very, very important, and very important to surround yourself with positive business people. So make sure that you do business with the right people. Don't worry about, oh no, but this could be a big deal. If the business that you're dealing with is not on the same page as your value or moral system, don't do the business with them. It's not going to be worth it in the long run.
And how do you know? And I know we've talked about this in depth, but like how do you know when other businesses are aligned with who and what you stand for? And especially in times like this where we find ourselves like cash strapped, right? As business owners,
Yes.
how do you ensure that the people that you work with are always people that are on the same level as you and on the same page as you with regards to the value system, especially when you are in a cash strapped environment like this? How do you not kind of lose your morals or your value system and partner with people that aren't necessarily aligned? How do you know?
Yeah, it's very difficult. And I mean, with me, I'm at an age where I've had experience, so I can sort of tell in the first meeting, oh, this looks, often my very first telltale sign is when they say, oh no, can you give us a discount? We'll give you this and you've got to give us that. When they don't actually look at the brand as a whole and all the positive things you're doing. So as soon as somebody says to me, or they're a big franchise and they say, no, we want this or we're not doing that, then I walk away. I know straight away the trouble is going to come down the line. Even if I give them the discounts and I cut the margins smaller, I know that the problems are going to come down the line. So for me, that's one of the telltale signs. But generally, it's like making friends with people. You choose the friends that you want to be surrounded with, those kind of friends. And we normally get a good feel. We can get a good vibe from someone that we want to have a coffee with or have a drink with or whatever. And we should be doing the same in business. When you go in and you just, even I can walk in and I can just see somebody's energy. I can just go, oh, I can see they've got the same vibe and they care and they want to do something. And I mean, look at all the things happening around us now. Everybody, the youngsters and the people now in business and young people around the world, they're compassionate. They want to do things right and they want to do things for people, and they want honesty and transparency. That's what they want in this world, and it's right. That's what we want. We want a world like that, and imagine business that's like that. Imagine business being like that.
I whenever I speak to you, I always feel very hopeful because you are the most optimistic person. The most optimistic person. Like, it doesn't matter what is going on, you will always find a way of seeing the positive in things, right? And just touching on authenticity. I know that you are all about buying and supporting local, and local is your vibe. That's just who you are. It kind of leads me to my next question of why the name It's Not Made in China. Like, I think that's the one thing that
Oh,
always like sticks out with your business, just the
sits in
name
your
in
mind.
itself. Yeah.
Look, it was very innocent when we started it. It was innocent with a small agenda. The agenda was support local. So the name It's Not Made in China was because we realized there was this massive influx of Chinese products coming into the country, and nothing against China. We like Chinese people. We don't have anything against Chinese people. It was just that we were looking at our local situation and we were saying, how can we support local? So the name came about because of the majority of product being imported were Chinese products. And so we did at one point, we're still there where we're saying, we're not a brand that wants to offend anybody. It's a positive, happy brand. So if it means we're offending one Chinese person, then we don't want to. We want to change the name. We don't want to offend anybody. But it is quite interesting because since this virus outbreak, we've had more people phoning us for the product. And it's so funny because we've had, Italy was very hard hit by the virus. And we've got all these Italians phoning us for the product. So it's been an interesting ride. And look, we're not political people. We don't want to go into the political realm. So we have looked at a couple of names. We are looking at changing. And for us, the brand is all about the art. It's all about the art. And a massive part of it is the recycling. So yes, the name came about because of, supporting local and making sure people have jobs and local people can work. The CMT industry was hardest hit by, the Chinese imports. And when you're a seamstress, it's quite a skill and it's not something you want to change. Once you've learned to be a seamstress, you don't want to go and do something else. That's your job. That's your skill. So it was very sad for me to see a lot of seamstresses who were supporting families and now were completely out of work. And I took on a very compassionate role there because I had been dealing with seamstresses. So I was very soft when it came to that. And I felt like we need to help them. What can we do? And the Proudly South African name, brand, whatever, was very broad and it wasn't really making a statement in those days. And I felt like we needed to say a little bit more. And so by saying It's Not Made in China, not only was it a bit funny for people, but it also kind of got the message across. So that's where it started. But we didn't realize we were going to make headline news internationally with the name. And even today, we've got these overseas inquiries and they're saying, please don't change the name. But, like I said, we don't want to be political and we don't want to be offensive.
I also don't think you should change the name because I think once people understand the story behind the name, because you're right. I mean, at some point, every label, you look at a label and everything at the back would say made in China. So for me, the first time I saw this, I was like, that's very cheeky. But at the same time, okay, how did we get there? Do you know what I mean? So
Yes.
I'm also with the people that say don't change the name.
Yes, everybody does. They don't do it. So,
No. I think you've made an incredible brand just from
thank
the
you.
name itself, and I think if the name can get people talking, it's great because then that leads to them talking about what the actual brand does, and that's the importance of it all anyway, right?
Yes, yes.
So you're talking about supporting local and how important it is for you to like ensure that the jobs stay locally and people that are local are employed and get opportunities. How much more important is buying and supporting local for you now during COVID? Like, how much more has that
Yeah,
become
I'm
important?
so glad you asked that. I am so glad because I need a platform and a space to really vocalize how seriously important it is not only to support local, but to support small brands. It is very, very, very important. You know, these big brands are good for the economy as well, but often they are automated and they don't necessarily always create the employment that you need in this country. Smaller brands are the ones who are employing local people. And it is very, very important for the general public to get that. Because when you purchase a small business or an entrepreneurial brand, you are helping so many more people than you realize. So it's not just about supporting local, it's about supporting small business. Very, very, very important. And you know, these guys who want to become entrepreneurs, who want to start businesses, they often don't have capital to automate and do things like that. So they are employing. So for them to feel positive about being an entrepreneur and starting a small business, you don't want them to feel negative. We need the community and we need the general public to support small local brands.
I hear you. I completely get it. I mean, I think what lockdown has actually done for me personally is that it's forced me to do that. I am very conscious of where I'm getting everything now, from food to vegetables to my clothes. I am very conscious about finding small businesses that I can service as opposed to going to big retailers, right?
Yes.
But like the space of SMMEs or entrepreneurship or social entrepreneurship specifically is a very challenging space. It's really hard because as much as you're trying to change things and you're trying to change the world, you're also trying to run a business, right? So what would you
Very tough.
say some of the challenges were when you first started, like in the beginning? What were some of the challenges that you faced as a small business who had just started?
Okay, you asked some very good questions, and I'm like bursting to tell you, and you're already asking the question ahead of the time. You're fantastic. But what I want to say, and I'm hoping that entrepreneurs are listening, it is very hard when you don't have funding and you've got to start with nothing. It is very hard. And I'm going to tell you something, and I'm hoping that young millennials are listening. The problem right now is that, and I'm going to talk as if I'm talking to millennials, you are so used to things being fast. You know, I was born in an era where things weren't as fast as they are now. So now what happens in this era, you've got fast action, fast answers, so much so that if you want to be an entrepreneur, it's not fast. It takes time and work. And I have a fear that that could deter entrepreneurs. So I'm worried that we might have a gap in the world, not just in the country, where entrepreneurs will try and do it themselves, but go, it's not happening fast enough and give up. So if we start having that gap, we're going to be in serious trouble in the world, because what's going to happen is everybody wants to get from A to B quickly. It's going to mean that people will rather go work for big corporations than start their own businesses, which is going to have a knock-on effect on the economy. It's very important for people, youngsters who want to start their own business, to persevere. And I promise you, there's one difference in getting a bank loan as opposed to starting and working very hard. That feeling of feel good accomplishment is so worth it. When you can sit back and say, I didn't ask anybody, I did this on my own, I worked, and it's a lot of work. And there are days when you go, I don't know what I've done and why have I done this, and it's too much work and I don't know if I've done the right thing. And so I think if I could I'm happy if they phone me. I'm happy if your listeners who want to start a business phone and they say, what can we do? I'm having a tough day. It's almost like you need a helpline group that young entrepreneurs can phone, because we need that. That's without that, they're being deterred. They're refusing to, they're giving up, and we can't have that.
And
We
and
just can't.
And what would you say are some of the things that keep you going as an entrepreneur? Like, because everybody has bad days. Like, we all have days when you're just like,
Yes.
actually, it's been great, it's been wonderful, I really want to do this, but like, I'm up to here now. I've had it. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't know what I was thinking. Let me just go back, find a job, and just live an ordinary life where I can just make a living. What do you have to say to those people? Maybe somebody is sitting there watching this today and is having one of those days. What do you say to somebody
Yes.
who's ready to give up?
So, so you know what I say? Go and do. So for me, what keeps me going is I keep reinventing the wheel. So when I just think I've got this brand, it's not enough. It's now, how can we make it 100% recyclable? How can we make a new fashion item? How can we link our brand to something else? And if you keep thinking that way, it never gets stagnant or boring, or it's exciting, and it's always exciting. Then you're creating challenges in your own business for yourself that's giving you stamina, strength, and exciting, something fresh all the time. And it is a lot, and it's a big mountain, but it keeps you going because you keep reinventing things. And as a small business, we have huge power to do that. When you're small, your decision-making process is a lot quicker than working for a big company. Big companies, it goes through 50 channels, it takes long, and by the time you've been waiting, you've given up. You've said, I no longer feel passionate about the project, I don't want to do it anymore. We have a massive advantage as an entrepreneur that we can make very, very fast decisions. And by doing that, we can achieve a lot more than some of the big companies, because we can do these things, we can turn things around quicker. So I do things like that. As soon as I think it's looking a bit, I do a little bit more research. How can I make this brand more environmentally friendly? What can I do to make people more positive? How can I make more illustrators happy? What can I do? And I carry on thinking like that. And that's sort of, and this whole virus thing, it can be very depressing for people. But the thing that I keep doing is I keep reading and I keep saying, okay, so who's out of a job now? I've realized DJs are out of a job. I've realized artists that were working at ad agencies are out of a job. So what did we do? I said, what can we do for those artists who are out of a job at ad agencies? We ran a massive competition. We offered a lot more money for an entry to help them, to give them spirit, to make them feel excited. And we got all these submissions. So we got all of them going. And I was chatting to my brother, is also an entrepreneur. All three of us are entrepreneurs, but he owns gyms. And he was very depressed because gyms can only open in lockdown 1. And I said to him, Neil, what can you do in your gym to bring DJs in? Think about it. People do gym to music. What can you do to help DJs and transform your gym, your gymming experience? And we hit a massive idea yesterday just by asking those questions. So I think if you're in a space now, the coronavirus, what it has done is it's given us as entrepreneurs or small businesses an opportunity to sit back and look at the big picture. When you work for a small business, you don't have that luxury. Whereas in a big corporate environment, there's enough people to be doing that. When you're small business, you don't have enough management to do that. So as a manager, you end up doing a lot of the groundwork. But now this virus is put things on hold a little bit. So it's giving you that time frame, that mental ability to go, hey, let me sit back and look at what's happening in the business. So very positive in that way as well for entrepreneurs.
I love that about you. I think social entrepreneurs like give me life because they're the most innovative people. Like whenever there's challenges, instead of saying, "Oh my gosh, it's a challenge. What am I going to do now?" What happens? I don't know how your minds work, but like something happens that says, "Okay, there's a problem. Let's try and solve this problem. Let's be more innovative instead of sitting and being stagnant." Right? And I
Yes.
love that you mentioned that you now have the chance to kind of sit back and look at things from a different view and a different perspective. What would you say you've learned most about yourself during this period that you had no idea that, wow, Tracy is this kind of person? What was that thing for you that you realized about yourself?
Well, I'm not often I try and hide me from the brand because I feel like it's such a young, innovative brand. And I feel like people would go, look at that old bully in the brand there. And so I feel like I have learned that I haven't stopped creating. And it doesn't matter how much older I'm getting, I still am being innovative, and I'm still thinking, and I'm still being creative. And that's been a massive thing for me to be positive and realize in myself, because you told in society that you get older, you get washed out. That's not true, And you know what is exciting? And this is again to your entrepreneurs. I'm hoping you've got an older age group listening, because it doesn't matter how old you are, you can still be very creative in this environment. It doesn't mean because you're older you can't be innovative. I've learned that I'm still innovative, and I keep coming up with new things, and I keep thinking of new things. And for me, one of the biggest things I've learned, that business isn't just business. It's about looking at your social economic environment and thinking, how can you incorporate that into my business? And if people start thinking that way, you're going to be on a long road of success. You really are. If you start saying, how can I incorporate my social economic environment into what I'm doing? Not only does it make you feel good about yourself and your business, but you are being innovative, and you're still helping others. So it's really a positive, beautiful thing.
And what would you say, Tracy, you've changed within the business that you didn't do prior to lockdown, that you're doing now, that you think, this is something that we should actually be doing post lockdown too. This is something that I'm definitely going to continue doing, whether I need to or not. What's that thing that you're just like, I had no idea that this business could do with this, and it's something that I'm going to take going forward as well.
Well, the lockdown, like I said, it's given me that gap to sit back. Normally you're running around and you're doing everybody's job as well. You're helping everybody. So you're not really sitting back and going, and I've been shocked at myself with new ideas. And, we're entering the Global Packaging Awards. We've been asked to enter it. We're coming up with a box, and it's very exciting. That is so usable. Everything, you don't just get your bottles in a box. You now can use the whole box. So these are such exciting, and I didn't think I had any more to give. Like, I thought this brand's already so full, but it just keeps coming. And this time has given me that gap to think about things. And I promise you, if you sit back and you go, let me be positive about this time. Let me be positive. Let me forget about all the sad stories and the negative things of everybody. Let me be positive. What can I use in this time as my advantage? You will see the things, and just make lists. Write down, I've got this idea. How can I use this? How can I incorporate this? And one thing we all need to do is we need to be inventive. We must not, yes, of course, you can take things from brands, and I'm hoping that I'm inspiring people and they can take some ideas from here. But be innovative, be inventive. Don't think I have to copy someone else. Think of something you can. Africa is so, people are creative in this country. We naturally given that gift. It's a gift. You go around the world, it's not the same. We've got a gift here. If you go back in history and you even look at women and how they made beautiful things, it's still there. And we need to use it. We've got our ancestors that have been passed down. It's in us. We've just got to access it. And we've got to say, how can we use it in a business manner, in an entrepreneurial manner? What can we reinvent to make it fresh and new and something that we can export? Right now, all entrepreneurs should be saying, what can I create that no one in the world's got? Because if we can bring money back into this country, that is going to be so powerful. That will be really, really powerful. And we've got the ability. We've got it.
You're my hero. You're my hero. You're my hero because you not only speak about innovation, you live it. I think the first time when I spoke to you and you were telling me how, oh no, the bottles are also now being like recycled and made into bags and t-shirts. I was like, wait, hang on, lady. Like, what? Can you talk to me a little bit about that? Like, how did you? Because I know that right now you are being, I know you're being innovative and you're changing this company and you are recreating it with each day, right? And which with each new thing that is thrown at you. But I want to know, like, I want to take it back to when you first decided that, actually, we can also recycle this and make it bags and t-shirts. How did you How did you get into the space of fashion?
Okay, so that was a funny story, and it actually happened so coincidentally. Obviously, when we made the bottle, I was thinking I want people to reuse. So that was obviously, I want people to not throw the bottle away. So they collect it and they reuse it. And that was happening because the artwork on the bottle. But what actually happened is a company that recycles, the CEO said, I'm flying to Durban. I want to come and see you. And I thought, oh, am I in trouble? That was my first thought. Oh, am I in trouble? He came, we met at a coffee shop. He said to me, I want to commend you on your bottle. I said, what do you mean? I said, how did you know about us? He says, we had, these guys that collect the rubbish, that go and dig through your rubbish, they're called pickers. They're amazing people. They're incredible people. And they have, believe it or not, we're one of the best recyclers in the world. It sounds unbelievable, but it's believable because our pickers are keeping the recycling at such a high level that in other countries it's not the same. So we're actually one of the best recyclers in the world, but we don't know it. And it's due to our pickers. So what happened is he had these two pickers in his office. They both had black eyes. And he said, what's going on here? What's going on? And they had been boxing each other over our bottle. They found our bottle somewhere on the floor. So one happened to be thrown on the floor. Now, the reason why they had black eyes was because the bottle's so thick, their return on value is more than a cheaper thin bottle. So and because our glue comes off with our label, it makes our bottle more preferable for recycling. And because we don't print directly on a bottle, because of that, the bottle's recyclable. So we ticked all these boxes, and these pickers had realized the value in the it's not made in China bottle. So he said to me, do you realize that you're never going to have a bottle thrown on the floor and wasted because it's going to be picked up? And he said, so what you're doing is so commendable. So it was really like a little bit of an accident. And then he introduced us to the fabric. He said, I will take back your bottles because they're so valuable to us because we turn it into fabric. And he said, we will collect from your depots. So now we do delivery to a customer. We collect any old bottles, not that we get much, but we collect back the old bottles that weren't used. And it goes back to the recycling depot. So we actually, if you Google something called the circular economy, we are closing the loop in recycling. And if you read about the circular economy, you'll realize that it is the best form of recycling, and it's the healthiest way for this world to move. It's a very good way of the world moving into recycling.
Do you see what I mean? Like, I'm just like, what? 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 And I think it's also because of you're constantly in this positive space, right? And because of that, you kind of attract the right people, and you attract the opportunities to yourself because of what you give out. I really truly believe that about you and your business. Yeah. So like right now, what has been having taken a step back and having more time to yourself and actually thinking about the business and how you can innovate and grow it, what would you say has been like your main focus in the business right now?
This is going to be a challenge that I think entrepreneurs will face when they start growing and they get recognition. There's always still a cash flow issue. As much as your business is now running, you don't have the funds and the cash flow that big companies have. So you do end up not burning out, but you kind of have to, you're working very hard physically as well and mentally. So the challenge for us is that we're getting all this opportunity, but we only a small handful of staff. So your challenge is there is how do you pack smartly? How do you box clever? What do you do with small staff? What do you do to box clever? Obviously we give out our bottles and we help a lot of people, but in our little office, we're not this massive corporation. So we don't have like 3 admin people. You have pretty much doing everything yourself. So it's about being clever, and that is a challenge, and that's something that we that we try and deal with, because we've now grown the brand and we're getting a lot of interest.
And yeah, talking about your employees, what was the conversation that you had with them when lockdown happened and COVID hit? Like, I can only imagine, because obviously you're not making as much income as you were prior to lockdown, and now you have these people that also depend on this business. So what was the conversation that you had with the people that work with you in It's Not Made in China about, where the business is and what would happen going forward?
So obviously you don't want them to panic. They've got used to their situation, and everything has been positive. So initially no one knew what was going to happen, and what who could get licenses, who could trade. So we put it out there, and I think it's very, very important for business owners. Well, I hate that word owner, because everybody's sort of part of the business, but it's very important for you to be honest and open. Don't lie. Don't go and say we're not in for a rough patch. Be honest. Put it out there. Ask for advice. Even right down to the guy who's maybe doing the smallest job, but be honest. Say to him or her, this is the situation. What do you think? We brainstorm. We all sat together. Shame. And we had some people saying, don't even pay us. I mean, you can't do that. It's not like we would be the last to pay ourselves. Which is amazing, because you realize that when you have a positive brand and you're doing so many positive good things and you are transparent, you are good, then that's the kind of staff you have. People who say things like that to you, which is what you want in a business. They're so compassionate that they don't want to stop, and they say things like that, which drives you even more, because then you're like, oh, this has got it, we've got to. So we didn't cut wages. We believed in ourselves. We said this is going to work. And we sent a pallet last week to Mozambique, and that's rare. I mean, it's unusual. We're sending a container to the UK. He's been begging us and waiting. So there's been work. It's obviously not as busy, but there has been work. And because we have and I'll go back to being unique, because we have a unique product, we have managed to stay in business. So the brands who are just competing with everyday brands, and I'm talking about, I'll use us as an example. We're in the water game. So if you're going to create a brand in the water game that's just going to be like everybody else, and you're undercutting everybody else, then when it comes to times like these, nobody takes your brand, because they're like, we can do without it right now. But if you've got a unique thing, then they want it, because it's obviously going to create traction for them. There's a demand. So that's why I go back to saying, be creative, be an individual, come up with something on your own. Do something special, that's going to take you through these times. So we've been very blessed, very fortunate. We haven't had to tell staff we can't pay them. We've been very, very lucky. And I guess it boils down to what I said, with creating something special that people want, that people believe in, that also creates foot traffic for businesses, for coffee shops, for other businesses.
I honestly believe that it is, what you give is what you get out. I honestly do believe in that. And I think because of the kind of work that you do, all of these amazing things are happening within your business as well. And I mean, just hearing about your employees saying, I'll take a pay, like, I have never, like, what? Voluntarily, like, what?
Even the tea lady, I was just paying her and she sent a message, you don't have to pay me, you must be struggling. I'm like, are you crazy? Are you crazy? I could thank you so much, but we can't not pay you,
That's incredible, Tracy. It's
unbelievable.
Like, it's so incredible. And I know you're like, oh, people must stay positive and we must all be like in really good spaces and we must try and keep positive. But I think that also comes with, like, what you're consuming and what you're not consuming. What are you consuming at the moment? Like, are you reading anything specific? Do you have any, maybe podcasts that you listen to, or YouTube channels, or I don't know, what are you taking in to keep you in that
I'm going to
space?
say something that, I'm vegan, okay? So I don't eat meat. And I think I'm quite a health fanatic. I like being very healthy, and I do exercise. So I think if you keep yourself busy and you're active and you're leading a healthy, often depression and people who get depressed, it's linked to bad diets and things like that. I think I try and stay healthy and positive in that way, and doing a bit of exercise. What am I reading? I love cartoons. I know it sounds crazy, but I love cartoons. I can watch cartoons all day, and I just feel so good when I've watched a cartoon. I try to stay away from negative things. I try not watch very depressing movies. Media today is it's touchy. We don't know what media is doing. We don't know whose side they're on. We don't know what they're doing. So rather, just for me, stay away. And the less you have of it, the more you're going to be creative. Because as soon as your mind's full of stuff out there, it starts putting roadblocks in your head, and you start thinking, oh, but what about that? Oh no, but that could have. Don't even go there. Just imagine yourself in the middle of nowhere with nothing, and how could you start? And sometimes that's the most positive place to be. Don't filter your brain with all these other things, and don't read all the news and all the bad stuff, because it's all bad stuff. No, they don't print positive things. Newspapers don't print positive things. We don't have a TV. I normally watch. I'm on the internet, so I'll watch Netflix, but I'll watch all the cartoons, or I'll watch Showmax or whatever. It sounds, but I get it. Like for me, cartoons are also colorful. They're cheerful. Not all, but the ones that I do watch, it inspires me. The colors and things like that, and I just think of animation. And I must say, I am a very imaginative person. So when I talk to someone, or someone tells me a story, I listen, but I actually visualize. So someone says, hey, I was walking and then I fell in the shop. I physically, mentally see them walking in, and I see them slipping and falling. So it's very comical. I see it in an animated way. So my life is quite full of animation. And I think that that's why we need more of that. We need color, art. It's very important to keep us positive. And the brand is about giving. You said earlier on, it's so nice to be able to buy something or get a bottle and it suits me. And that was one of the aims. It was, why should we as a brand dictate to the general public, that's what you must buy? I'm going to create a brand that says that name and that's what you buy. I thought, why don't we create something that gives everybody a chance? So like if you're a goth and you want something gothic, then you can go on the shelf and you can take your gothic bottle. If you're a sportsman and you want an illustration that looks sporty, you can go and grab it. But why should I as a brand dictate to the consumer and say, this is what you have to buy? Let them choose, give them the freedom of choice. That for me was very important. And color and illustration, it's such a beautiful thing. Art is such a beautiful thing, and why not make it more accessible, bring color into our lives now,
You're so awesome. My daughter would absolutely have a ball with you. She would just be like, what? Cartoons all day. Yay. So, anytime, if you feel like, you need a little 5-year-old running around making a noise, let me know. I will post her to Durban anytime.
Very happy. I have the most fun with children. I forget who I am. I have the most fun. So I think that's important.
Yeah, I think I'm going to start watching a little bit. I think I'm going to start watching more cartoons. I understand what you're saying about the color and just how much lighter you feel after you watch cartoons, because you get drawn into the craziness and the silliness, and you kind of lose yourself in it a little bit. And then I want to know, like, we all kind of need someone to lean on for support, right? Who has been your support structure like now? Like, even though I know that things are going really well in the business, but I mean, with lockdown, like, things are very different now, and you are having to kind of do things differently, and sometimes your brain will kind of say, I don't want to be in the house anymore, and I just want to go to the beach. So who is that person that you are leaning to for support?
Look, I mean, I have a partner, and we can bounce off each other. It's not easy when it's your partner. So sometimes it's good to sort of find people outside. And like I said in the beginning, you've got to find people that have the same value system and moral system as yourself that you can bounce off of. And what I do is I even find customers. So because I've identified customers who are like a little bit like me, it's so nice to phone them and say, I've still got your back, and the feedback you get and the passing of ideas and challenges, it's healthy and it's positive. And so I would say customers often help me. I'll phone a customer and I'll say, how are you doing? Do you need something? How can I help you? Are you struggling? And you find that because you've started that relationship through friendship, that you actually end up helping each other, and they end up helping you, and you end up helping them. So that's also why it's very important to match yourself up with a customer that is going to work with you in the long term. It's not a short term sort of thing.
You're amazing.
So yeah, customers.
You're amazing because you see so much value in people, and all types of people. Any person that you meet, you see value in, and I appreciate that about you. What is the one thing that you're looking forward to when we finally reach level 1 of lockdown?
I'm a bit nervous about the influx of like work and that we've got to do. I've quite enjoyed being more creative now because I've taken this back seat. Just say that question again. I just want to be sure that I'm answering it correctly.
So, like, the one thing that you're looking forward to post lockdown, once we get to level 1 and the country's like open again, and yeah.
I think the illustrators and them being so excited and positive, and me being able to share positive stories with them because the brand's traveling. It's interesting. We Dubai have ordered a shipment of our bottles, and the Red Bull guy in Dubai, I don't know him, but he's dying to meet me. He runs that MENA region, and he is so excited about the brand. And he said, you don't realize how excited, just from our communication, they have said that they want to fly me over and they want to start doing an artist exchange in Dubai. They want to exchange South African artists with artists from that MENA region, fly them here and fly our artists over there. Now imagine a global artist exchange where we help artists here who are struggling, that experience of sending them to Europe. So it got me going, and I was thinking, the guy in Europe, I said to him, hey, when you purchase the stock, you have to take one of our struggling artists to Europe so he can do some work in the copy shops there. And they were over the moon about it. So I can't wait for this lockdown to end and to start this whole global exchange with helping our struggling artists, and then bringing really innovative artists from overseas here to teach artists here new tricks and trades and things like that. How amazing is that? That would be brilliant.
Do you see how you are? Like, you're always excited about helping other people, and this is why I know that your business will flourish, and I know that your business will get around the world, because it's almost as if you don't do what you do for you. It's always about the next person. And I literally asked you about what you're excited about, and what you're excited about is what opportunities other people are going to experience. And
I know. I have to be careful. I do that so much that I forget about the business. But it's almost like, for me, it's like an NGO with your own backing. It's like we've started this business from a compassionate point of view, and it's like, I don't have to go and ask corporates and big companies for funding. It's like the business is helping. It's like an NGO that's helping itself. And for me, that was one of my things, was if I die one day, I want to be in my grave, and I want to know that whatever I did helping something or somebody else. And the business that's been created is now being able to do that. And that is such a special feeling. So much so that you think to yourself, I can't actually stop. Because if I stop, then I can't help that one, and I can't help that one, and I can't help that one. So it prevents you. It's another mechanism to keep you going as well. When you just get tired, you're just like, I can't, because all these people benefit, and and it's so beautiful. We had I don't know if I'd spoken to you then, but there's an artist on our website. His name is Lumkile. I found him. He came around to our shop or our little office that we had, we had a little pop-up store. And he said, could you, I live on the streets, could you buy this art for me? And I said, you know what we'll do? We'll pay you, we'll put it on the bottle, and we'll see what happens. A month ago, he phoned me. He said, Tracy, I've moved from Durban. I'm exhibiting in Cape Town galleries because of the bottle. How amazing. I'm exhibiting. He phoned to thank me, to say, I'm now exhibiting in Cape Town. And that for me, and that's the kind of guy that you want to send overseas to share his experience. And his whole thing is, again, think of him starting with nothing, no hope, nothing, to be where he is now. And and you know what? It's not a sad story. It's a good way to start. It's a positive, good way. That guy started with nothing. So, and he's only got to gain. He can't lose now. It's got to get better. It can't get worse. It's just got to get better for him. So those are the love stories and things that you think, well, it's worth more than money. It's worth more than our bank accounts. You know, it's worth more than the overdraft. It's so good. Like it's what gets you going, waking up in the day, saying, I'm getting up today because I know that somebody's going to benefit somewhere. And, you know, not all these artists phone you back, but every now and again you get a call from an artist who says, I've left my job, I've gone straight into illustration, or the story of Lumkile, or a Muslim girl who was scared to illustrate, you know, because her community would shun it, and she's out there and she's put it out there because her bottle's done so well. You know, those stories, those are like it motivates you in your business, but it also, you're just doing something positive, and it's worth more than money. That's all I can say. And you know, whether I don't think I want to make millions and things like that, but I think when you have a mindset like I have and you're trying to be positive, I think it will come because you're putting it out there that way. You are, the product feels it, like water feels things. In Japan, I don't know if you've heard, but like ice, when they freeze water, if it's been in a factory where there's unhappy staff, it's stagnant, things are not good, the particles freeze and you can see how they're frozen. And in a very positive space, they freeze in a different way. And I think in business, if you create a product where you've got a positive, happy space, and you genuinely, your intentions are genuine, the product carries it. And it's not an esoteric hippie thing, because I'm not a hippie. It's real. You pick up the product, you feel it. It gets carried right through from the labeling to the end picker, the guy who picks the bottle up. Okay, look, those two with black eyes, that was a different story. But I think they were very happy when they got paid. So, you know, but I mean, that's what I mean. I think if you're in a space where you're authentic and you're genuine about what you're doing, it is carried through the product.
Wow. I think that's the perfect way to end it. It's the perfect way. I am so grateful for you, and I'm so excited for the work that is still to be done, and the work that's still coming. And I am very excited about where this brand is going, and I can't wait to see. I think every time I speak to you, there's just constant growth. And every time I think I can't be inspired more by you, I am. Because now I'm like, Lumkile, I'm going to go and stalk your page and go and find Lumkile, because his story has also just done something to me. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being you, and thank you for doing the work that you do. You are incredible. So thank you so much, Tracy, for just taking the time to have this chat with me today.
No, I want to thank you. And it's people like you, and I hope everyone's listening. It is people like you that make a massive difference for young entrepreneurs. And they need to learn to find people like you, because you are helping entrepreneurs. Your article and your thing you wrote, you don't know the feedback we got from it. It was fantastic. Very, very positive. And for me, that's the kind of journalism, those are the kind of journalists you want to work with, you want to stick with. You know, Red Bull are very lucky to have you. That's all I can say.
Thank you so, so much, Tracy. Thank you. Have an incredible week. I am all
You
pumped up
too.
and energized now. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for interviewing us. And keep well. Look after yourself in these times. Lots of
You
hugs and
too.
kisses.
Thank you, Tracy.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.